Welcome to Module 2 of Modern Python. And in this module, we're going to be looking at data analysis with pandas. In this first video, we're going to describe data using the pandas library. So for this module, and maybe some of the others, I'm going to be using the Jupyter Notebook, which should already be installed if you installed the Anaconda platform. Otherwise, you can install it on your own, or you can just use whatever interface you're used to working with in Python. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is import the pandas library. And the standard practice that you usually see is we give it an alias PD, and it helps shorten the syntax in other applications. All right, and then I'm going to get an external data set. There's a bunch of common data sets in use out there. They don't come with pandas. They do come in several other packages that you can access with Python. I'm going to use Seaborn to get our data set. Okay, so I mentioned there's a lot of data sets out there that you'll see tutorials based on. So let's see what you get from Seaborn. So I'm going to use get datasets and then their names. All right, and I'm not too worried about this warning that Anaconda is giving us. But here's the data sets. All right, we're going to be working with this one, MPG. There's a common one out there, diamonds, that's used a lot to do data analysis with. There's also the iris data set, which people use a lot for giving tutorials on machine learning classification. All right, and then the Titanic data set's also out there and used quite a bit in machine learning. All right, so if you ever need some data, just maybe you'll remember that you can get it from Seaborn, or there's a few other libraries in Python that you can use to get these data sets. All right, so we're going to use the MPG data set. I'm going to store it in a variable called cars, and it's going to be Seaborn load data set. Okay, so it's in there, and one of the drawbacks to doing data analysis in Python is that you're not always able to see the data you're working with. So access it a couple different ways. First of all, I'm going to get the metadata, and the structure that we're working with in pandas is called a data frame. It's essentially a collection of columns and rows, and here are the column names, the data type that they store, and then up here we have the number of observations. All right, so 9 columns, about 400 rows. Okay, if we want to just see what the first few rows look like, there's the head method. Okay, so it gives us this column and row representation of the data. All right, there's also its opposite, the tail, so the last few rows. All right, and then if you want to specify how many rows to show, you can just type an integer in here. All right, so when you're describing data, generally what you do is tell us where the center is, tell us what the shape is, and tell us what the variation is. All right, Pandas has a built-in descriptive statistics method, and it's describe. Okay, so when I use describe without limiting the data, it goes through and finds every variable where it makes sense to do calculations on and returns what many people consider the important descriptive statistics. All right, most widely used, of course, the mean and the standard deviation. All right, but you'll notice that there was a name column in there and that there are no descriptives for the name, and it didn't throw an error. So Pandas has a lot of sort of bad data handling methods that it takes care of things automatically for you with. All right, if you're just interested in a specific column, we can pass in the column names. Okay, and then we could use describe here, or we can get an individual statistic. Okay, so I guess this acceleration column is talking about 0 to 60 time, the average over our 400 observations, 15.5 seconds. Okay, maybe we're interested in what happened to acceleration over time. So the data set includes data, all right, if we look at this model year, from 1970 to 1982. So maybe we're interested in, okay, what happened to performance over time. So I can use group by, which is a powerful aggregation method, and then the model year, and then the column we're interested in, and then the statistic we're interested in. Okay, so when I run that, I can see that, all right, in 1970, it was about 13 seconds, and it looks like it's been pretty steadily increasing over time. All right, so we might want to look at, oh, what's a side effect of this increase in, or decrease in performance, I guess, the increase in time from 0 to 60. First of all, let's take a visual look at this, so we'll plot it. All right, so as suggested, it looks like pretty much the tendency is for the 0 to 60 time to be increasing over time. All right, there were a couple of slowdowns in there, but yeah, in general, it's gone up from around 13 seconds to over 16 seconds. All right, and so we might want to see, well, what's another thing that happened over that time. So maybe something like fuel economy went up. So if I look at the mean over the whole data set, it's 23 and a half. If I go ahead and use my group by method and the model year, okay, a quick glance through the data, and we can see that sure enough, one of the consequences of this slowdown in people's driving habits was the fuel economy went up. All right, and so we might guess that, okay, there was a policy to increase fuel economy. All right, and then, yep, if we want to plot that, we'll just apply the plot method, and we can see what happened there. All right, another thing we might want to do is directly see the relationship between fuel economy and acceleration. So if I use cars and then plot, and if I add the keyword kind, I can get a scatter plot. All right, and then on the X, we'll put acceleration. And on the Y, we'll put the fuel economy. All right, so interestingly enough, it looks like there is a very weak, if not no relationship between fuel economy and acceleration. So let's look at a scatter plot of the fuel economy by year so we can see what the tendency there was. Okay, so a much different kind of scatter plot. Basically what we're seeing here is over each year, essentially the variance of that fuel economy. And so we can see, yes, there looks like there is a tendency of fuel economy to be going up over time. And for the most part, it looks like the variance of that fuel economy is about the same. It's pretty spread out over the years, so there's not sort of a narrowing of it. So it means that, yeah, the worst cars got a little better, all right, and then the best cars probably got a lot better. All right, and so if there's no relationship between the fuel economy and the acceleration, let's see if there's a relationship between the fuel economy and the weight. All right, so we'll run the same scatter plot, but we'll put weight on the y-axis. Okay, and so from this, we can see that indeed, yes, the weight is tending to go down and that there is a lot less variance in that weight than there was back in the early years of that data set. Okay, so we've seen a couple of scatter plots. We've seen a couple of line plots. Another thing that people like to visualize are histograms. All right, so the three sort of mainstays, line plots, scatter plots, histograms. All right, so the distribution of a single variable we get with a histogram. Let's look at a distribution of the weight. Okay, so this is not represented by year, but we can see that, well, the majority of cars are somewhere in here between, say, 2,000 and 3,500 pounds. And then there are a few cars out here, the few heavier cars, and there are very few lighter cars.